Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Shadows of New York. We are back with our girl here, Julia. I think her name's Julia. And last time we played, we found out that we were able to drink the blood of our first victim, went to a nightclub, and we learned a lot of interesting backstory about how, like, this La Sombra court and all this other stuff works. Fascinating stuff. Now we are here. She's apparently the immigration officer of New York, which, according to her, doesn't mean anything because it's like, I guess it's like I'm getting the feeling that her job is kind of like the job she had as when she wasn't a vampire and she was still like normal human, where it's like a job but nobody really cares about your job. It's interesting parallels that are going on. Anyway, let's continue. See, New York is probably the biggest vampire travel hub in the USA, and definitely the biggest one on the East Coast. Almost every kindred arriving from Africa and Europe comes through here. I wonder what it is on the West Coast. It'd probably be like LA or San Francisco. Probably San Francisco because it's right on the water. That's actually, hmm. I should look that up later. We should see what, in the World of Darkness, what that is. The local Camarilla is nuts about bureaucracy and population control, so every vampire leaving or arriving in this town is supposed to check with me to inform me about their travels. See, that makes sense. That actually does make some sense. Even though they're nuts about bureaucracy and population control, it makes sense because they want to make sure that there's no rogue vampires running around causing chaos that would disrupt this thing that they have going. Alright. Well, in theory, at least. The VIPs play by the different rules. They take care of this stuff through connections and servants. But for the smaller fish, I'm like a vampire Statue of Liberty. The first bloodsucker every kindred coming to NYC should see. On paper, anyway. The first after the prince... Oops. The first after the prince, or Kadir, the Primogen Council. These things vary. Yeah, I'm a naturally traitorous La Sombra, so they still prefer being traditional and hands-on about these things. She's traitorous? Really? Oh, probably they're meaning, like, since she's La Sombra, she's considered... Okay. Alright, let's see. The Prince. Where the buck stops. The big boss of a given domain, usually a city. These are the kindred you don't want to cross. Those who have secured and held their claim against all other contenders. Prince is a gender-neutral title for vampires, hence NYC's head honcho, Helene Ponhard, also calls herself that. The Primogen Council. The prince's advisors, usually elders, though mostly the younger so-called Ancia in NYC, who represent the interests of the local kindred. Traditionally, each major clan, faction, or sect would be given a place on the council. This framework naturally favors the Camarilla, though anyone can bring grievances to a Primogen not of their own clan. There are few other rules governing who can become a Primogen, but recent decades have seen the old paradigms rapidly shifting. Locally, Prince Panhard asks the council's advice often, but it's no secret that she mostly uses the Primogen to confirm a course of action she's already made up her mind about. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. She wants to make sure that everyone's on board. As I said, at the end of the day, I'm just a gopher. And this work only serves to remind me I'm not quite in, just standing at the gate. They haven't even given me an office. I just meet everyone in public places, such as coffee shops or this fast food restaurant. Some consider this an insult and lash out at me, but luckily most of them understand we're in the same boat. Only here because we're curs who need to be reminded of our place from time to time. Speaking of, my last client is 15 minutes late, and I still have more errands to run tonight. This is getting irritating. To be honest, I should just find some self-respect and leave. But I won't. My sorry upbringing left me with this stupid sense of responsibility. 10 more minutes pass. Eventually, an unfamiliar woman appears by the door. She tells someone to stand by the door and walks in. Ooh, she looks interesting. Oh, hello. Long chestnut hair. Oh, long chestnut hair, body stuck in her late teens by the looks of it. A fashionable scarf covering most of her face. Elegant clothes. A dignified walk. I signal her to sit in front of me, trying my best not to let my impatience show. She obliges. You're here to check in? I am. Julia Sawinski, I presume. She's scanning her surroundings like we're at a circus. I hope you won't mind if I make it quick. I'm needed in Elysium. Name? What's Elysium? A courthouse for vampires, or a designated peaceful place we can go to seek resolution. Often hidden in plain sight in notable public buildings also used by mortals, such as museums, art galleries, and landmark government offices. NYC is pretty typical in this respect, as the current Elysium is a gallery in Queens called the Art Hole. That's cool. Neat. Katherine Wiese. Huh. I swear I've heard that name before. Someone else's description of her crosses my mind. That weird lady who owns the Art Hole but is never there? Weird? So it is her, Katherine Wiese, owner of the Art Hole, de facto headquarters of the new city Camarilla. For fuck's sake, Julia, what are you doing calling her weird right off the bat? God knows you've already made a fool of yourself in front of enough VIPs in this city. Recover. I'm sorry, it's just that I still don't know many people there, so I have to go by the description I'm given by members of the Primogen. Well, the description is mostly correct. Outside of that one word that slightly perplexes me. Pot calling the kettle black sounds like. Oh, from what I gathered, it's just that your interests are rumored to be, not fully aligned with the Camarillas, and it irks some folks up there. Well, I mean, yeah. These are all, you know, oppositional-sided people, lady. Like, I'm sure that that's gonna be a factor here, right? I'm just saying. Being a keeper of the Elysium is not enough for some, I see. I suspected as much. But what can you do? She seems chill. Good. Yeah, that is good for you. Recovering, that's good. Anyway, Katherine Wiese. Wow. Yes. Want me to spell it? People often have trouble getting it right. Forgive my indiscretion. It's just that people of your stature usually don't bother checking in with me. They usually report their arrival to one of the Primogen, and they make all the arrangements. I heard Prince Panhard is busy with the preparations for her big party. I assumed that if I spared her some paperwork, she'd appreciate it as a gesture of goodwill. Besides, I wanted to meet the infamous La Sombra representative out of sheer curiosity. My interest peaked once I heard about her. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. She hit on me? That's... Oh, my sire might not be okay with that. Lady, we just met. I don't know if this is gonna work. She looks around knowingly. Unique circumstances. Yes, Prince Helen Panhard had, trouble justifying the exorbitant rent my property would need. That's little pennies for her. And as far as I know, She's been sitting on an empty property since last year. Looks like they've got it out for you. Bad. That's what I assumed, but it's nice to get a confirmation. Well, it's not like my clan... Oh, wait. Well, it's not like my clan is ever particularly popular in these parts. At least, that's what I've heard. Sins of the fathers and so on. Yes, just to make sure, you've never met Hester, but you know her. I do know I wouldn't be here if not for her. Have you two met? No. Oh, hang on a second. Bloop, there we go. No, I only heard of her once or twice. We had similar outlooks on many issues, although we tended to come up with completely different solutions. In any case, I think it's meaningful that Hester died so that you could live. They feared her. Now they fear you, and that's why they're keeping you down. If anyone who's not a VIP said this to me, I'd laugh in their face. Oh, I get what she's doing. She's trying to buy my favors. Best not to act like I'm easy to please. Stick to business. Well, time will tell. In the meantime, I'll need you to help me out with my documentation. Of course. So, where are you coming from? Washington, D.C. She says it the way people in Hollywood movies say it. The way that suggests her Washington is wildly different from the Washington you and I would see. What were you doing there? Take a guess. Government work? Write that down. It ought to amuse Helen a little bit. If you say so. Sorry. Don't mean to cough into the mic like that. I have a very sore throat. So I've been doing these last 2 episodes with a sore throat today. If you say so. Date and arrival? She takes a plane ticket out and slides it toward me. It's all here. 1 a.m. Got it. Method of transit? Plane. Purpose of visit? Meeting with Prince ought to work just fine. I guess. Estimated duration of visit? Undefined. I wrote in 6 months if you... Write in 6 months if you really need to. Place of accommodation? Conditions of intended... Conditions of intended stay? The art hole. Conditions should be adequate. You tell me. I tend to be happy with our Airbnb. Home sweet home? I'm not certain that I ever felt particularly at home here. That makes 2 of us. Curious. Do you have nothing holding you here? The face of a blonde-haired friend appears in my mind's eye, then vanishes. There's nothing holding me anymore. I see. A prolonged silence. She stares into my eyes, and I return the stare. She's studying me. It's unnerving, but I do my best not to turn away. Eventually, she smiles. Didn't you say you were short on time? Excuse me. Oh god, yes, Kadar will kill me. I quickly begin to collect my stuff from underneath the table. You can simply inform him I paid you a visit. He'll understand, and he'll pass it on to everyone who should be in the know. Do you need anything else? I'm fine. I was about to ask you that myself. You're the one asking questions here. That's all from me. Good. We will see each other soon, I hope. The party tomorrow night? I wasn't invited. That voice hurts my throat. She gives me a pitying look. I understand. Well, if not given the opportunity, we should make our own. I'll be in touch. Good night, Miss Wiese. I wish you a pleasant stay. Good night. And don't rush these things. You've got your whole life ahead of you, and you're in a position where you can take it easy. Take your time. Get a different perspective. I nod and walk slowly out the door. When I lose sight of the restaurant, I sprint toward the subway. Slow night? Oh, Kadir. What kind of voice? A Vish. You're late again by the... wait, nah, gotta give him a good name. You're late again. Nah, I already used that voice. This is hard figuring new voices for people. I wish. You're late again, by the way. I hope you have a good excuse. Kader al-Assami, the mighty sheriff of New York City, is not happy with me. No wonder. I met him in front of Elysium 30 minutes later than the time we agreed on. Oh wait, let's see what that says. Sheriff, an appointed officer who enforces the prince's edicts, and if Kadar is any measure, a real stick in the mud. A sheriff hunts down traitors and violators of the traditions. Only the greatest offenders are typically apprehended and brought back to be judged in front of an assembled court. In lesser cases, sheriffs act as judge, jury, and executioner. So he's Judge Dredd? That's what I'm getting here. He's basically Judge Dredd. Okay, good to know. Don't want to piss this guy off. Yeah, well, Katherine fucking Wiese decided to arrive fashionably late. A likely story. She's supposed to be... oh, wait. A likely story. She's supposed to be out of the city. If you think I'm pulling your leg, boss, feel free to check my report. I pass him all the official papers, the way I do every night. Kadir stares me down for a good few seconds, then his steely gaze softens. You're serious? Weiss in McDonald's with the mask and elegant clothes, surrounded by the smell of French fries and hamburger patties. That must have been one hell of a sight. Technically, it was BBB, not McDonald's. But yeah, God, I made such a fool of myself. First thing I did, I quoted somebody calling her a weirdo. I wanted to die on the spot. Serves you right, you walking faux pas. Faux pas? I don't know how you say that word. I've been trying to teach you to control your tongue, but you never learn. It's a new gaffe every week with you. Still, there's good news and bad news. The good news is, Katherine has a fondness for vampires of humble beginnings. Probably why she decided to see you in your, shall we say, natural habitat. She's one of those rich art scene assholes who seek out working class cred? I did say something about watching your tongue. The bad news is she's also very astute, so she can recognize a moron like you straight away. You never stood a chance at impressing her. Oh, shut up! You still need me for anything here? I'll get on it straight away. I wouldn't be standing with here... oh, whoops. Bah. I wouldn't be standing out here chatting with you if I hadn't taken care of my duties. 30 minutes is all it took to finish preparations for the big party. I'm about to see everyone off. Sorry. Couldn't be helped, I suppose. Oops. Ah, there we go. Couldn't be helped, I suppose. But it's more your loss than mine. I just wanted some company tonight, and you could really use the chance to appear here on official duties, so everyone can get to know your face. Heaven knows your fast food job isn't going to get you anywhere. You need to... what do they call it? Hustle? You don't need to tell me that. But it's not like being paraded around for a bunch of blue-blooded douchebags is... He somehow manages to give me a painful nudge in the back without so much as a hint of visible movement. Language, you fool. They're coming out. Just stand here in silence for 5 minutes and focus on not embarrassing yourself any further, will you? I like how his voice changed while I've been talking, but I think it's just because my throat's really sore and I can't do certain things. got it. The first two silhouettes appear in the doorway of the art hole. An old man in a wheelchair, pushed forward by his young servant. Haven't seen either of them before. Oh god, he looks like he's gonna murder somebody. Jeez. Mr. Payne, the night is still young. Hope you find the rest of it pleasant. Payne. The wheelchair. I've heard about him. Addison Payne, one of the American Camaria's main connections to the government in Wall Street. Disabled in quite a few ways, needs a servant to even communicate. I'd be full of resentment if I was embraced in this condition, but apparently Payne is nothing but grateful for his immortality. He keeps writing fervent defenses of the traditions and Camarilla customs. Hope you're enjoying your stay in New York City. He wordlessly shakes Kadir's hand, but doesn't even deign to acknowledge me. At least his servant gives me a small bow. I return it. They leave. Kadar turns to the next person leaving. Hi, Regent. Can't wait to see you in your outfit. Spare me, Sheriff. Oh, Aisling Sturbridge. Yeah, she definitely looks like this kind of voice. Spare me, Sheriff. These fancy dress parties cause me enough suffering without your help. I can only hope you haven't conspired with Helen to embarrass me with this gift. She points to a shrink-wrapped set of clothes she's carrying inside her coat. Kadir smirks briefly. I didn't have to. As you well know, Prince Panhard displays a considerable foresight in the matter of party planning. Yes, if there's one thing she's deathly serious about, it's frivolities. Excuse me. A recognizably mortal quality, especially for a prince. We ought to celebrate it, not oppose it. Don't worry, Sheriff. I'm a big girl who knows her etiquette. I will play your game, amuse the crowd for a bit, and return to my study as fast as possible. Aisling Sturbridge, High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs, a hero of the Battle of New York, the biggest warlock in town. Could be a prince herself if she didn't have her eyes on a bigger prize. Oh, wow, really? Now we gotta read all this stuff. Regent. Regents are the principals at the schoolhouses of the Tremere, also known as chantries. Every chantry has a regent who oversees the education of all the Tremere in attendance there. Regents may also hold positions on the Primogen Council, but be active in the clan's strategic defenses. Wow. Decent. Chantry. Where the Tremere hang out. Lots of crusty books and smoking beakers type of place, I imagine. Clan Tremere. Named after the 8th century Hermetic mage whose followers for a brief period terrorized the world. Members of the clan Tremere today are only able to practice their reality-bending thaumaturgic arts after consuming fresh blood. This is because the Tremere of old fucked up in their relentless pursuit of immortality and were condemned. They have recently fallen into a great schism of competing houses, all vying for the title of rightful heir to their namesake's legacy. All about their rare ancient artifact life. Nicknames like Warlocks, Hematics, or Transgressors. Ooh, we're getting some interesting people now. But that, dear ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to have to stop for today. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm very intrigued as to where this is going to go, because now we're getting to some big cheese people. And there's going to be a big fancy party, and I wonder if the party's even going to, have any sway on the plot, if it's going to lead us anywhere. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Take care.